What's up, guys? Elfis here, and today we're going to be doing another HoN replay analysis, this time of Rolighed2. I don't remember who he plays, but that's okay. We'll get to it in a second. As usual, Tidy Jangles is joining me.
Good evening again.
I do want to briefly mention that I am aware that he is not next in line. I've skipped 2 people simply because of the fact that they posted on the thread a month ago, and I just want to confirm that they still are playing the game and want the replays done. I plan on messaging them, and then I will get to it. Sorry if you are still playing. I know it might be a bit unfair, but it just seemed the most logical to me. I know it's my fault that it's outdated, but it is what it is. So, you know, that's what it is. We'll get to them. Don't worry if you still want them done. We're not going to just say, fuck you. We are going to do them, but I just figured it made more sense since Rolighed posted like a couple days ago or something like that. And Stocksy, we skipped yours only because yours was casual mode, and we kind of decided that casual mode doesn't really take as much precedence over normal mode. Again, maybe considered a bit unfair. Sorry, I will do it. Tidy Jangles is saying he doesn't want to do it. If he doesn't want to join me on that, I will do it. Just, I think the normal mode people should kind of get a bit of priority over you because casual mode isn't as competitive and it's not as it's not as hard to be good at casual mode. I'm sorry, but that's just how it is. It's the nature of the beast. But with that being said, we are going to go ahead and jump right in. You all set?
I'm ready to go.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. Alrighty. Something to note real quick. This is a really big MMR span. It's just about, like 260 to 280 depending on which team you're on. A little higher than that maybe. I'm not the best at math, so
it's 200 MMR is the maximum spread, 1385 to 1586, so 201.
Yeah, you're right. I'm not good at math. Ignore me. It's all good. Who needs math anyways? I'm just kidding. I actually take a whole bunch of math courses, but we use calculators for all the little calculations, so I'm only mediocre at those. So this is still a pretty big MMR span. Usually it's plus or minus 100, not every time. Sometimes you get a little bit over, a little bit under. Plus or minus 100 is about the default. 200 is kind of getting into the big range in the sense that, the top player versus the low player, there can be a significant skill difference. So
I mean, the other day we got matched up against Sender, and he was like 1870, and I'm 16. I think I was 1680 at that point. So
it's not exactly a, maybe an indicative game. But we will still do it, don't worry. It's just to say that maybe you didn't necessarily lose because of you. Maybe you lost because of either your teammate or you're placed against somebody who is out of your league, so to speak. But we'll see. I don't think that's the case, considering, not to be, a bit judgmental, but mostly just about 1400 to 1600s. Usually you get a lot of people of varying skill levels for the most part. You can be at a 1600 skill level or a 1500 skill level, but for the most part it does... You kind of all just get chunked together as one group. So.
Right, so what I'm expecting to see from Legion team is South Forest mid, Solstice jungle, Kinesis solo, and Empath Hammerstorm long lane.
Yes.
Of course, we could also see a Kinesis suicide, but I doubt in this bracket we'll see Kinesis suicide.
Yeah, that would be fine. And the other thing that I would actually be okay with is a Kinesis support and a Solstice lane. Solstice, actually, I've been trying him out in the lane a bit recently, and although I still think it makes the most sense to jungle him because he can gank really well and he can jungle, he does his lane just fine. There's nothing wrong with it, although I do think the lanes would be better if you jungled him, but we'll see in a minute.
Yeah. What are we expecting from the Hellborn side? I'm thinking probably Madman and, I don't know, FA and Glacius bot and Madman Lodestone top or something? Or
I would probably do either Madman or Bombardier mid. Madman's actually a really good mid in himself, especially if you're planning on him going up against the South Forest.
Okay. We've got FA Glacius top, we've got Bombardier,
and then you could do Bombardier Lodestone, and they would do probably pretty well, actually. Okay, so we're not doing the lanes how we thought we were going to. Interesting. Okay, so South Forest doesn't want to go mid, I guess. We're sending Solstice mid? Huh? Okay.
Solstice is an okay. These lanes are just fine. They're just
unusual.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with these lanes. There's nothing wrong with them. They're just not the ideal that you could have gone with, really.
Yeah, they're really not. And I mean, well, I guess they're not. And even if you were going to do a Solstice mid and South Forest top, I think it would have made more sense to send Kinesis with South Forest and Hammer Empath together, just because Hammer Empath is really strong. They're a really strong lane, actually. They do really well. Oh, gonna take that Empath taking the whatever that's called.
So hopefully you'll have got 2 wards. Yep. Ring of the Teacher component.
This sucks.
I would have liked to have seen Runes of the Blight.
Nice dodge. Yeah, okay, so, wait, where's Empath? Empath is top. Gotcha, perfect.
Yeah,
okay.
So you're going to get this ward off, presumably, because Self-Horus is going on them and going, screw you guys, I mean...
Did you not already see? The ward was placed for me a fairly... Oh, Self-Horus, why we do this? That was not a good trade. I don't know what just made him want to do that. Glacius for Self-Horus is not a good trade. No. I don't know if we're synced up. I don't know what happened. I'm at 407, 8, 9, 10. I'm
at 359.
Okay, I'm going to pause at 415. Let me know when you're
Okay. I am... Go.
Okay. So, Empath, we're sitting here. We have a health potion. Use it, please. Thank you. Perfect. Yeah, I also...
You should have got Runes of the Blight, because now you're out of regen already.
Yeah. The one thing I will say is, even though I love Ring of the Teacher, and I'm sure Teddy Jangles does too, Empath isn't necessarily a hero that needs it. And on top of that, even if you're going to get it, because really there's almost no wrong time you can get that on a support. Almost no wrong time. You don't necessarily need it at the start on Empath, so...
You needed the regen more, and maybe... Yeah. If you'd have got a set of Runes of the Blight and a couple more minor totems or some more regen. I mean, you have got that Ring of the Teacher now, which is nice, but having no regen is going to kind of suck against a dual range.
Yeah, so
unless you've got extraordinarily good positioning.
Yeah, and they actually ended up landing it how I said they were going to. They're going to send Madman mid. Although they probably planned on it being Self-Horus, but it doesn't really matter anyways. Also, the mana potion is also a bit unnecessary. A lot of the time what you'll see Empaths do, I don't know if I necessarily agree with this, but it is a common occurrence. They'll get a Blood Chalice, and then they'll Essence Link to regen, and they'll just keep using that for their mana.
Well, that's not what I do. What I do is
I don't think it's necessarily wrong, but...
I like your lane positioning here. I like the way you're being aggressive and you're harassing and you're not taking less hits. One thing to note for Self-Horus, you should, unless you're against the melee, you should have your aura turned off, because you still get the regen if you're standing next to creeps, but it doesn't damage them and push the lane. So if you're against the melee, you want it turned on to basically passively harass them. But if you're not against the melee, all it's going to do is push the lane. So you're going to ward the rune. Tiny bit late, but it doesn't really matter. It's not a big deal.
I also would have put the rune ward like over where the Hellborn team put their rune ward, because you don't really need necessarily that site right there. It's not a big deal. It's just kind of, I don't know. The other thing, got a
very defensive ward from Glacius here as well.
Yeah, I was just gonna mention that. This is really odd to have this so early on.
In a non-competitive game.
Yeah, and on top of that, he warded the rune here too, so really for mid lane to gank top, he would have to go, like, without passing this rune ward, he would have to go such a very odd route anyways, that you would probably have a good idea he's coming, like, or gone for 10 minutes or something anyways, so it's kind of odd that he would place that ward, that both of those wards there anyways, maybe one of them, I guess, but I don't know, it's just a bit odd.
I like your positioning, I like what you're doing here.
Yeah, I was just going to say, again, really nice position. So very nice, actually.
You're playing well so far.
This is one of the best parts about being on the Legion team's side in the long lane, is that these trees, you can make little pockets here, usually using Runes of Blight, although you don't have any. You can make better pockets if you use the Runes of Blight. And you can do it on the Hellborn team too, although it's just not as useful because the lane can get pushed up and then it's kind of blah. But yeah, you can make little pockets, and then the creeps will still give you vision to harass, but you go in fog so quick they can't really counter harass, and it's all kinds of usefulness. We did complete our... Oh, who upgraded the courier? I didn't even notice. Was that him as well?
I didn't see.
Okay. Well, I guess you got your Ring of the Teacher, and the courier's upgraded, so totally fine. We have our wards down. Wards are also totally fine. I will say that the Hellborn... Or, sorry, the short lane should get a ward of their own if they're going to be this far up. This is really far up to not have a ward, on top of the fact that their pole isn't warded, so they could stack and pull and back it off, so I'm not sure why they're doing this, but... Hey, to each their own, I guess.
Not sure why you do this.
Yeah, I don't know why they do this. Doesn't make any sense. Maybe they just assumed it was pulled and didn't check, in which case they're still stupid, so either way, it doesn't really make any sense. We got boots first on Self-Horus. I usually go tube first, but it's totally fine. Really doesn't make a difference, especially if you're in the side lane and not mid. It's really not a big deal. Again, he still has the aura on. I'm not sure he knows you can turn it off, actually. Sometimes on certain heroes, some people don't realize you can turn off some of their skills, so...
So let's have a look how you're leveling. 2 in Essence Strain and 1 in Illusory Veil. Okay, that's good. That's fine.
Yeah.
And Sephoris gave you his runes, which is nice.
Yeah, he doesn't need them, so... Yeah. I mean, well, he really doesn't. He's not taking that much harass. Plus, Sephoris has crazy amounts of regen. It's not even funny. That's why that hero can do mid so well. It's stupidly crazy how much regen he has. It's not
I like when you're choosing to take less hits when you know he's not going to get them as well, so you're not wasting them. That's also nice.
Yeah, nice job. Let's see, are we getting... Okay. What I will say is that Sephoris is not necessarily doing wrong, and actually if he got... Oh, here we go. Very nice job by you two. Sephoris is definitely going to kill him. I love how you didn't stick around to help. You knew he was going to die. Good job backing off. Some people will get too greedy and they'll think, oh, I want the kill, and then they'll stay and it'll cost them their lives when they totally didn't need to stay. So, very intelligent. Very nice job. Sephoris, how much gold do we have? 375. Oh, he's going max boots first. He doesn't want any...
Oh, holy shit. He's not scared, is he?
No, he really doesn't need to be, though. Sephoris is crazy tanky with the regen. It's not...
Oh, that's a nice kill. Very nice.
It's really not even funny how freaking strong that regen is. Especially, you notice he ran in... I don't know if he thought this out or not, but he ran in when there were creeps around. Something you guys should notice. You definitely should have seen Madman coming by on that ward. I don't think you would have gotten out anyways, but that's okay, I guess. I don't know. You guys should have seen him coming by, though. This ward would have given you sight, I believe. I'm not sure. I could be
Unless he was invis at the time.
Yeah, but I think that's unlikely because he grabbed the rune. I don't know. If you're paying... What I will say is that if you had the rune ward where their team has their rune ward, it would have been much more easy to see him. I think, anyways. That's part of the reason why people, I believe, people put it there. It makes the most sense because it's easy to see them coming. This rune ward, where you have it, does give sight of the rune, but it gives just barely enough sight of the rune, so sometimes you can't see people walking through, and it's just odd. Not wrong. Sephoris getting a little bit ballsy here. Yeah, that's probably best. I don't think he would die if he went in, but he would... What the hell? Okay, what? A Forsaken Archer got a health tube first. I'm confused.
Probably going no.
Yeah, I guess, but I don't know. That's just... if we plan this out correctly... Sephoris, get him. Okay, somebody got him.
One thing to note, you're getting most of the less hits under the tower. It is difficult with a support.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
You're doing a decent job. I don't really have any criticisms of your play so far.
The one minor criticism from me, and it's not necessarily wrong, just maybe a different way of thinking, is you're not really roaming so much yet, so I don't think you needed to finish the Striders. I would have gone for a faster Vestments, probably would have been my choice.
Yeah, Vestments or a Power Supply.
Yeah, or really anything. If you were going to start roaming around a lot, by all means, the Striders are awesome for roaming. But seeing as how you're kind of sitting up here and Sephoris is roaming, which really doesn't make a whole lot of sense, to be honest with you, but it's fine. I guess it's not really totally wrong, especially since Forsaken isn't up here instead Glacius is, so it's totally fine. But if you were going to be roaming, it would be okay. But since you're not, I think the Vestments make a lot more sense.
Either go investments or getting a ward and a mana battery.
Yeah. The other thing...
You know the ward's going to expire soon if you keep an eye on it. Because ward's less for 6 minutes. For anyone that doesn't know this off by heart, ward's less for 6 minutes. So you should pay attention to the time you place a rune ward at the start of the game and think, okay, in 6 minutes I'm going to need to replace that. So make sure you have enough gold to go and replace that at 6 minutes.
I mean, the other thing...
actually, you've got another ward here, and you're doing exactly what I said. Exactly as it's just expired, you go and place another one, so that's...
The other thing that I do, I mean, the way you said it, that's fine if you want to, just say, oh, 6 minutes past this. I kind of don't like to do any unnecessary thinking. I just check on the wards every now and then, and if the bar's getting close... I'll be like, okay, I need to buy a ward soon, So either way is fine. I think that's a bit easier. Very nice job using the Essence Link, knowing your team's coming. Totally free kill. Perfect. That was actually a really nice job. Very well played by all of you. Forsaken level 5. Awesome. You are doing actually really well. Really well. We have 440 saved up, so we can get our next item, whatever it may be. I would say Vestments. Power Supply is fine too. Really a whole bunch of items. You can even, considering how well you're doing, you could even maybe start building into like an item, like a real item if you so wanted to, but I still think that some minor items are a good choice.
I'd get the build-up items.
Yeah.
What I would normally do on Empath is, after I got my investments and Power Supply, and if I'm getting a Ring of the Teacher, a Ring of the Teacher, and then I would go for Vestments and then a Fortified Bracer. And then straight into Astrolabe. Sometimes without even upgrading my boots, and then get the Astrolabe.
We just noticed Madman ran pass. Yes, perfect. One more hit. Oh, so Solstice is dead. You need to leave. Yep, good job. Nice thinking. Keep in mind, Salforus is here. Salforus should also leave, though. I guess he was just trying to get his ultimate off on him real quick. I think the ultimate would have been enough to kill that.
Yeah, it would have been, for sure.
I don't know. How much does it do? 100 and something? 200? 100 target units. 50. Okay. 50 damage plus... Yeah, okay. Yeah. Let's see. Salforus got vestments. Nice. What are we going to get? We bought something on you. What does the courier have for us? Courier has major totem. Okay. That's fine.
Just so anyone knows, just a little minor point about Salforus' ultimate. You cannot dispel or purge his ultimate. You can't deny someone under the effects of his ultimate. His ultimate will stay on you no matter what.
Yeah.
There is only one thing in the game that can remove Salforus' ultimate, and that is Parasite's Infest. By getting into a creep, you purge off his ult.
Yeah. But the ultimate is... you can't regen in it, but you can, power supply or heal things. So
yeah, you can't. You can't.
You can't
heal any. No, you can't heal at all while under the effects of it.
I'll take your word for it, but I swear to God, that's all right. I'll trust you then. Fine. Oh, we have what happened top? Okay, we got a kill. Yes. No, we traded Salforus for Glacius again. That's not a good trade. We need to stop making that.
Yeah. I think that was more Salforus' idea than anything else.
Yeah, the Salforus seems to be a bit ballsy. Also, again, with the very odd placement from this Glacius with his wards, he put that same aggressive defense, hardcore defensive ward up again. I don't understand that. And again,
I guess it's... I don't have a problem with it, to be honest. If they're getting ganked, by mid or
put the same rune ward back up, too. Okay, let's see. How's bot doing? Bot's doing... Not the best, actually. So, Salforus coming to clean up. Nice job. He's not going to get Lodestone, I don't think. There shouldn't be any reason.
He might. He's got Ghost Marches.
Yeah, but he doesn't have his ult or anything to... Nah, I don't. It's unlikely, I guess.
Not unless he did a huge dive and no one else came.
And actually, yeah, this is definitely... Oh, Madman doesn't have any mana. Never mind, you're fine. I was going to say that might be an overextending there, but... Coincidence.
So, you are actually doing what Elfis said and going for, presumably, what is going to be either a Gnome's Wisdom or a Tablet of Command.
It's a tablet. He gets a tablet by the end.
Okay.
Okay, so we right here, we should
3 wards.
Stop to see the rune here and protect it for your mid. Good job. I love it. Your mid's coming. Awesome. Perfect. Okay, let's see. Where are we going to put these wards? We bought 3 wards. Here's where I would like to see them. You need, at this point in the game, we need... why did we do that? Okay, we're going to try and kill mid, I guess. We don't have any detection, and he doesn't have a stun. Okay, alright, it worked out because of the Essence Link. Nope, it didn't. I lied. Guessed the wrong way. Can you see Essence Link when he goes invis or no?
You can see the Essence Link, you can't see the hero.
Okay, so you should... Then that doesn't make any sense why he kept running. Okay. Just a bit of a mistake. That's fine, though. Yeah, I would have... If he was in daytime and you had the stun, it would have been fine. I think it would have worked out great. But unfortunately, nighttime gives you a slow, which really isn't all that helpful in killing Madman. So, let's see. We have 3 wards. Here's what I was going to say. You need, at this point, especially considering the lane is about to be pushed and killed by a tower, you need a ward.
This ward that you've just placed... Hang on. Let me just...
Yeah, go for it.
This ward that you've just placed is completely pointless at this stage in the game. They don't have a jungle hero. None of their carries, for example, FA, are farmed enough to go and start taking the jungle. If you look, FA actually has nothing.
And actually, by the way...
So there's no one you can gank in the jungle. You're not pushing this second tier tower. There's really no need to have either of these wards, really.
I was going to say, this ward's useless, too. Yeah. This ward is a after first tower ward. So this tower's still up. Makes no sense to have this ward here. None. Absolutely none. The only minimal amounts of sense it would make to have these 2 wards up is if you knew their carry or somebody important was farming this jungle, which you don't.
Those are wards that are specifically designed for ganking the jungle. The furthest at the top is for if you're pushing the secondary tier tower, and this one, the other one, the further down one, is for after you've pushed mid tower or while you're pushing mid tower, you don't want to get ganked from the jungle.
Yeah. So both those words make no sense. I will say this word down here that you placed near bot rune also is a bit bad in the sense that it gives you Kongor sight, but their team can't Kongor. Not yet. Not even close. They don't have anybody who could really tank it, yet let alone do enough damage to it. So you don't need Kongor sight. What you prefer is you want choke point sight around right here. You want these choke sights. And if you don't want that, either that or something like up here.
You're going to go for a deny here. Oh,
no, they
close,
don't. And
close.
again, I'm ahead of you, so we'll fix it in a sec. But either you want this choke point sight, or you want up here maybe, so you could get sight on the Ancients to gank them if they're doing that. Although again, you can probably make the assumption that they don't have enough to do Ancients, since their 2 carries are fairly underfarmed for the most part. They could do it, but it wouldn't really be.
Basically, what I want to note on warding, and this is something I want to cover in detail, possibly in a video that I will do about supporting in general, is in the early game, you don't need defensive wards in your jungle or aggressive wards in their jungle unless they have a jungler or a hero that can early on, after a tower push, for example, after their lane's been pushed up and they can't farm the lane, can then go and jungle with some farm.
Yeah.
So there's not really any point to have wards in either jungle this early on. Room wards, lane wards, especially in mid, those are the ones you want to have this early on. Really.
Yeah. What just happened? Oh, they got the Hellborn Courier. Madman being stupid. Oh no, sorry. Who was it? Lodestone Invis or something? I don't know what happened. Oh, it's not a bad initiation, I guess. That was good. You got Lodestone out. This is good. Where are you? Where are we? Who'd we go inside? We're inside. Gotcha. Perfect. Self Forest. That was amazing. Awesome. So we got Forsaken. We got Glacius. Amazing. Oh, Kinesis. Watch it, buddy. Too far. Okay. And we'll fix the timer in just a second. Right after this is done. Okay, you guys can either push to the... You can push this tower, actually, with 2 of them down. Actually, no, you know what? A couple of you are pretty low, so that's fine skipping out.
It's too early.
Real quickly, before we get into something else, I wanna fix it. I'm at 1954, paused.
Okay. 51, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, good.
5.
Alrighty. Very good job going into South Forest, by the way. You could have also gone into Solstice, but Solstice isn't really all that big yet, and not Lodestone, sorry. South Forest does really well without items. He's a really strong hero without items, whereas Solstice kind of needs items to do it, so that's a totally fine choice. Even if you had gone in Solstice, though, it wouldn't have been really all that bad, so that's fine.
If it was nighttime, I would have said Solstice is probably a better one to go in, but...
Yeah, maybe. Even if he is better, though, it's only slightly... At this point, it's not a huge deal.
It doesn't matter who you get in.
The other thing... Yeah. The other thing... Although late game, it will matter, so don't think that applies to the whole game. It's just early on when heroes are kind of... Or if you had gone into Kinesis, that probably wouldn't have made sense, okay? So, just stuff like that. The other thing I want to note is you picked up a counter ward, and we have no ward up here, and we're about to get ganked, and we can't see it coming. Okay, this should be... either a free kill or we're gonna run. Either or, one of them should be obvious. Okay, so we're gonna fight it. Alright, Solstice, poor choice on your stun, man. You should have gone for somebody else. He was almost dead. Kill him. His ult's down. He's like, what does he have? 0 armor after his ult, I think, right?
0 armor and 0 magic armor.
Yeah,
which means everything does true damage, basically.
Yeah, which is a lot.
Nice scotting on South Forest is back. Madman's gonna die.
It's okay. South Forest is gonna clean up, hopefully. If we can't get Lodestone here in a sec, don't let him kite you around too long. If we can't get him, keep chasing. We're good, Okay, we backed off. I probably would have kept chasing a little bit further because you could guess that pretty obviously, but that's fine. Same thing. Nice job. Okay, we're going to get Forsaken, so perfect. Oh, no! Okay, we're going to get Forsaken. All right. That's just something, if you get too tunnel visioned and let him kite you too much, the hero that is still alive and still has health to do damage is going to beat the crap out of you, so just keep that in mind. I know you weren't the one doing it. It was... Lord South Forest, but...
So where did you put that counter ward down? Oh, you put it right there. That's good. You knew they had a ward there. They didn't actually at the time, but I guess they had a ward there from...
He put it there for Madman.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. That's fine if you want to do it for Madman, but I don't know. I would have not done that for Madman. It's okay. It's not wrong. If you got... And actually, I was about to say that counter warding is probably not the best idea at this point in the game, before that fight happened. But if you got the ward for Madman, that's okay. I think Dust is probably a better investment at this point in the game because you don't necessarily have enough damage to nuke him down crazy fast. And Dust is like a debuff you put on the hero as opposed to an area that shows stuff, Yeah. So I
agree. When you're going against Invis heroes, Dust is always better, actually, apart from versus Fade. Dust until someone can afford an eye and someone is going to be able to survive long enough to keep hold of it.
Yeah. Although on the upside, I will say Madman not doing all that great. He has 300 GPM, which isn't bad, but we're sitting at 19.5, and all we have is Boots Sustainer. I don't believe he has anything sitting in the base.
Blood Chalice as well, which is weird.
Yeah, well, it's extra weird because you got a bottle on top of that. It would be one thing if you just had the Blood Chalice, but Even then, which would still be weird, but yeah, I don't know. He's going to get a free tower here, probably. I don't... if we have an immunity and we port to it, we can save it, but no, we're not going to. Okay. Do we have TPs, by the way? Just one. One person has a TP. Empath, and you're porting. Oh, nice. Madman is going to let you deny this. Get the deny? No. Okay. So, in that case, the port was a waste. If you weren't coming to deny, you weren't going to kill Madman, and actually, you're probably going to die here in the process. Do we have enough? We have enough for a wall. There we go. Kite him around the wall. Kite him around the wall. Good job. Very nice. We got a port from a teammate. This should be enough.
No, he's gonna die to Madman.
Yeah, but I know. But that's a good trade if we get Madman for an Empath.
Yeah, he's dead.
Yeah,
he's screwed.
Yes, big time. Okay, so that's fine. Again, you shouldn't have ported if that was going to be the case. You didn't get the deny, and actually you didn't even try for the deny. If you had tried and failed, it'd be one thing, but I think what happened is you attacked him by accident, and then your animation was on cooldown, so you couldn't. So that's okay. But the port was a waste of gold if you weren't going to go for the deny, because you weren't going to kill him, and you weren't going to, it's pointless. So, just something to think about. Let's see, we got the completed tablet. Okay, so we got a completed tablet right out of the gate. You definitely need vestments, just so we're clear. You definitely need them. I don't think that's something you can skip against Bombardier, Glacius, Lodestone.
FA and Madman.
That's. I was going to leave Madman off, but you're right. Actually, Madman does, and FA's ultimate is magic damage, if I recall correctly. Yeah. So you definitely need vestments. Definitely. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You delayed them, which isn't necessarily bad because you weren't dying too much, and you're dead. Okay. Not necessarily the best choice. I know you didn't see them coming, so it's okay. Oh, we got in Solstice. Okay, all right. No. You know what? Well played by you. They definitely...
nice wall as well.
Yeah. I think they definitely could have killed you before you got in there, and it looks like they're going to finish you. Yeah. Okay, so it's I don't know if that was necessarily the best trade, but it was okay.
It wasn't your fault anyway. It was Solstice's...
He's stuck.
Manning up. You can't really do anything when you're stuck inside him.
Yeah, you can leave though. Actually, you can cancel it if they're doing
something
stupid.
If you're low, you don't want to jump out when there's hero around. Wasn't really anything you could have done there. To be honest, you're playing well mostly. I haven't got apart from the odd warding and the
lack of vestments.
The lack of vestments, yeah. Everything else is good. So
yeah.
Not what to say.
Let's see. Oh, okay. So here's something to think about. Do you usually put more points in? I don't play Empath, so I'm not sure. I would think actually the regen makes more sense. But do you put more points in the wall, or do you leave it at 1 and?
I put 1 point. Well, I normally put 1 point in wall at the very start. That's the first skill I level. It's better for blocking off entrances and exits when you're defending or trying to get to the pool.
Yeah.
To block it. It's also just generally a better defensive skill for the start of the game, and if you can block someone off nicely, it's a better offensive skill as well. So level 1 I get wall, and then I max essence link. And at level 4 I'll get 1 point in the regen, and then I'll max wall, and then I'll max the regen.
So wall before regen.
Yeah, that's what I do. The wall duration goes up from 3 to 6 seconds. So it's pretty nice. The regen does scale reasonably well. It actually scales pretty damn well, to be honest.
Okay.
But I just prefer wall because I'm an aggressive player, and normally when I'm playing Empath, I'm playing with the carry player from our clan, and he'll be playing something like Grinex or something aggressive.
Oh, so because the wall's more aggressive of a skill, you get that.
Yeah.
So you can set up. I gotcha. Okay.
But it depends on your team. I mean, for example, if you've got say a Legionnaire, then it'd be nice to max that out to give him some regen in the jungle. Although by the time you've maxed out your Link, he's probably going to have his helm anyway, so it's maybe not be so relevant. Looks like South Forest is going for a mock, which is fine by me. I have no problem with that.
I want to comment on their wording at the moment. So first of all, just on a side note, you guys wasted... sorry, not you guys. You, being Empath, were sitting here not necessarily managing your time very well back at these trees here. Oh, Madman with a lucky regen. That's convenient. The other thing is, I like this ward at the center is now totally fine because their mid tower's gone. Totally fine. That's absolutely fine. Essence Link and wall. Oh, perfect. Perfect. Very nice. Well played. Well played. So yeah, like I was saying, this ward right here at the center of their jungle, I always call these points the center, but I guess, it's really only the Sun and Elysian side, but whatever, everybody really knows that's the center, kind of. But so this ward's totally fine now. I think this ward up here that you just placed on this cliff near their tier 2 tower may be a touch over-aggressive.
I don't know, because if they're planning on pushing that second tier tower in the near future after they push this one, it makes sense.
Yeah, it does, and even if they aren't planning on it, now their carries are farming the jungle, so it's still not necessarily a bad ward. But I don't know, I probably would have placed it somewhere different, but it's still totally fine, I guess. I was just giving my thoughts, I guess. That was like a perfect low stone stun there. That was unfortunate. Yeah, you should leave him. He's not going to get out. If you have a wall up in a second, use it. Yeah, wall. Wall. You have a wall? You have a wall? Okay. Alright. He's dead. Leave. Perfect. That. Wall for yourself. I like that.
I think he was just waiting to try and block off the wall in this spot here, so they would have to run around.
I know. Yeah. I know what he was trying to do. It just...
I like your thinking there. It was good.
It was fine. It was fine. He probably wasn't going to make it there. I would have tried, at the very least, to save him just a bit.
I would like to have seen you stick around and stack those ancients before you go back to well, because you were going back to the well anyway. So
yeah, you know what? That's something we could talk about. I have yet to see you stack a single camp. Now, what I will say is you have been good at boarding, you've been good at being at the team fights, you've been good at using your skills and all kinds of shenanigans, but even if you're not like perma-stacking, like sticking in the jungle, stacking a lot, which can, there are times in games where the support can't do much, and that is something you can do to help your team. But if you're not doing that, there are still definitely times, and this is one that we just mentioned, where you're walking through a camp or by a camp at the minute mark, and you can stack it. Especially Ancients, you should be walking around there, on purpose just to stack them, but...
It's excusable when you're in the long lane and you're not anywhere near the jungle for the first 15 minutes or so of the game. But you should be thinking about stacking the ancients especially. And you are going next for an astrolabe, which I do like, but you need to get vestments.
Yeah, I think he just skips vestments this game is my understanding, although I'm not 100% sure. The other thing I want to note is now we're sitting at 27 minutes. We're getting to the point where they can do Kongor if you give them, 2 or 3 minutes time period, 4 minutes, whatever it is. I think they might need like 5 minutes, something like that, maybe a bit more. But we're just getting to the point where they can do Kongor almost. Also, this Glacius word makes me lols. Very nice wall placement. He's probably going to get away. Oh, actually, no. You got an Essence Link here. If we use it, pop it. Your team... Oh, Blue's coming to cut him off. Okay, so we're probably going to kill Glacius here. He's probably dead. I probably would have just teleported by now if I was Glacius, but that's a choice too, I guess. Yeah, he's dead now. Okay, so...
He doesn't have a teleport?
He does not. You're right. So, well, I would have teleports. Like I was saying, though, this Glacius ward is lols. He tried to place a Rev ward and accidentally... I'm assuming he did that on accident because he has another full, half-health ward right over here, so it doesn't make sense to...
And he's got... And also it's in a spot where it doesn't see anything. It's not on the highest part.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I think he put a...
And he's got a Rev ward right next to it in a really weird spot.
Yeah, I don't know what he did. I think he panicked when he saw Empath and he got a little bit messed up. But,
yeah.
But like
I
was
panic
saying...
when I see an Empath, to be honest.
Well, Empath is 7, 3, and 10. Like I was saying, though, we're getting to the point where they can start doing Kongor if you give them enough time. We have no sight down this whole area down here near the river near Kongor. Not a single bit of it. And that's not really acceptable. If you don't want to put the ward at a direct Kongor ward location, that would be understandable. But we need some sight down here to at least give us a tip-off that maybe, all 5 of them just walk down here or something like that. It's not... you can get by without it at this point in the game, but I would highly recommend it, is what I'm trying to say.
There's something else I want to say, actually, on the point of the vestments that we're mentioning. Actually, when you're playing Empath, it's not such a big deal because you can jump in someone. And so getting those team support items...
You guys overextended again.
Getting those team support items is going to be okay. And you're screwed.
And also,
you did everything you could there, but...
Yeah, and also I want to laugh a lot at Yellow's word placements. They make me tra-la-la-la-la.
Yellow's?
Yeah, Yellow. Look at the choke point up near the pole camp at Hellborn side.
Oh, that's weird.
Both of them. He put both of them. I don't understand that. I don't understand.
Oh my god. Oh, that... Okay.
And this one isn't even on the cliff that sees the choke, so I don't even... This is just... I don't understand. I don't understand you, Yellow. Send me a private message. Explain, please.
I guess...
I don't get it. I could understand...
That one isn't horrible.
I could understand one.
It's up there at the top, but that bottom one is weird.
Yeah.
In every conceivable way.
But, we can discuss it later.
You know, I never like to complain in these games about people warding because, you know, they're warding.
Yeah, to be honest with you,
I would agree. 1300s and they're warding, so you can't complain about that.
I would agree, except for if Empath had the wards, she's putting them in good spots. So it would be one thing if nobody was warding and he warded in nobody's stead, but Empath is warding fine. So maybe if you ask for help with wards, that's fine, but maybe just give her them if you don't know where to put them. So, I mean, that I don't know, or ask if you don't know. You know, I mean, even if people don't know what they're doing, if you ask, most of the time people won't insult you or anything. They'll just tell you what the right thing to do is. I mean. Every now and then you'll run into one of those assholes who's just like, oh, you don't know how to do this? What the fuck? But, you know, just ignore him because he's a douchebag anyway, so. Let's see. Did they counter this ward? No, I guess it just ran out. Huh.
What I would also like to say, just on a note of warding, is, well, more to do with counter warding, actually, is if you are... Oh, God, my camera's just locked on that ward. That's weird. Come here, Empath. Let me click on you.
Well, while you're doing that, I want to just mention one thing real quick. I believe, and you can correct me because I haven't played sport in a very long time, so I might be mistaken about this. But I believe if you have 3 wards on the map at a time, you can have 3 wards on the map permanently, if I'm correct, based on the ward timings, like how often it'll let you buy
Pretty much,
wards.
yeah.
Yeah. So there are occasions where you will want more than 3 wards up, depending on what you're doing, and then you'll be willing to sacrifice, you know, the next minute or so where you'll have, or sorry, the next 6 minutes or so or whatever, where you'll have, you know, 2 wards as opposed to 3 or something like that. It's just, if you think about it, you'll understand that you can only have a certain amount of wards in a certain period of time, so you place them at different times. But in general, 3 wards on the map is usually a good thing to go for. If you don't know when you should have more wards or less wards on, it's fine. So 3 wards in general. So we have 3 at the moment, thanks to our brilliant yellow player. So I hope we're not going to place this 4th ward unless we really know what we're doing.
Cool, you got Dust and you got an Astrolabe finished.
Yes, and I believe I am way far ahead of you. Also, I'll just talk about this fight and then we'll fix it again. Empath, you jumped into someone who was stun-locked, didn't have any support incoming, and was practically dead. Granted, he is the tankiest member of your team, so I'll give you a little bit there. I think what you were better off probably doing is sacrificing Self-Horus and backing off your team, because your team...
Or getting into Hammerstorm.
Yeah, because your team was over across the trees, meaning they weren't going to make it in time. They were not. He was dead. He may have had a little bit of health after the stun lock was done and had a potential to get out, but I don't think that's enough potential to invest your ultimate in. I would have gone in either Hammerstorm or Solstice would have been fine, but I think going into the person who is very likely about to die,
yeah, that was
not
a bad decision.
Yeah, probably not the best choice. I do want to fix that real quick. I'm at 36-14. Pause.
Oh god, you're way ahead of me.
I know. I don't know what the hell's going on, man.
36, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14,
okay.
15.
All right, perfect. The other thing I wanted to say was that, again, we avoided doing a Kongor ward, and once again, it's not something you can't get by without at this point, considering the wards you do have. If all 5 of them are missing off your map constantly... Oh, Solstice! Oh god, buddy. Oh my god. He just got so lucky. Okay,
well, he cancelled his charge, so I guess
yeah,
that was
but he canceled
it.
He canceled it like absolutely last second, though. Yeah. Good job, Empath. You turned around as soon as you saw the scratches on you and felt the damage. Perfect. Give him the move speed. Give him the move speed. Okay. All right, perfect. We dusted him. Amazing. See, this is why dust is better. Perfect. This should be a definite kill, I would imagine. I hope it will be. Yeah. Okay. Soft ult is on. Okay, we're good. So now let's see. Just
that was a nice combination. I actually never really thought of that. Using Empath inside Solstice to get off a Solstice ult by using the Essence link so they can't run from it. Yeah. It's quite a nice little combo.
It is, but it's
stack
still...
Ancients here. You better stack Ancients. Nope, you didn't. Okay.
No, he didn't.
Keep that in mind when it was 50 seconds and you had enough time to get there and stack them. So keep that in mind. Whenever you're near the Ancients, go and stack them.
Yeah, if you're going to play support, you really need to think about that. And you can ask Taddy, I make that mistake constantly where I'm not paying attention to the time and I miss a stack.
But and when you play with me, I'll say something like triple stack dungeons, and you'll be like, "What? It's 7 minutes in. Where have these come from?"
And if you're playing a support, if you're playing a carry, it's a mistake that is overlookable if you're not doing it at the minute mark when you're walking past. It's certainly not something that's great, but
overlookable, one excellent word.
Yeah, it's a new word. It's coined by me. Make sure you quote that. Again,
this is such a stupid dive. What the hell are you guys doing?
Throw your wall.
I know that you're there to support your team.
Throw your wall. Don't let him keep chasing you. You've walked through like 3 choke points at this point. Throw your wall. Throw your wall. Don't try and fight him. You're not going to beat him. FA will always, always, always. Please micro this courier correctly. Whoever it is. Oh, God. Okay, that was kind of a fail micro, but it worked out, I guess. This should be a free FA kill. Absolutely free. Yes, it is. Perfect. Okay, you guys got it pretty scattered out there. On top of the fact that you did not use your wall, you were a bit risky in that sense. I'm not sure if you were trying to bait him far in so your team could back you up. It looked like that's what you were doing, in which case that's okay. But keep in mind that I don't. Actually, you noticed FA had used his ultimate, so that's okay. I was gonna say if he had his ultimate up and he hit a volley in his ultimate, you'd be pretty much dead almost, in like 2 seconds, 2.5, 3 seconds, whatever it is. So. Just keep that in mind that if there's nobody around for you to jump into, you shouldn't be lenient on using your wall defensively. It's just something to think about, though. It looked like you were baiting that, and I think you baited it correctly, so it's fine. Excuse me, I had to take a drink. Okay, let's see. We just bought something. We're buying more wards. Perfect. I love you. You are an amazing warder for a 1500 player. For 1500. Some of them have been questionable locations, but very good job with the wards, considering you're 1500. That's totally acceptable. Keep it up, man.
Is he 1500 or is he 1400?
Yeah, he's 14 like 80, so I was just rounding. It's close enough.
What was I going to say? Oh yeah, this is something I wanted to come back to. I was planning on talking about this for a while. Is counter warding. Now you haven't really been doing any this game.
Very nice job.
It's not really that much of a criticism because it's not something that people often really think about in lower brackets.
Yeah.
But here you go. You're doing it.
He did. And I'm ahead of you again. Oh my god.
What the hell is?
I'm at 40:04. Paused.
Okay. 9, 40, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
Right.
I don't know what's going on.
I have no idea. Okay. Now, what I want to mention about counter warding, which you have actually started to do now, so I take back what I said, is that you basically don't want to counter ward unless you know that there's a ward there.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason for that is you don't want to waste money because counter warding a ward costs you 50 gold essentially because it costs 100 gold for the ward and you get 50 gold for counter warding.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, this... Okay, I'll sorry to interrupt you. At this point, if you know that he warded that rune, which you countered it, so you definitely knew, this would probably be a place that they want warded, at this tier 2 cliff right here. So, especially considering you guys have been pushing up on this tier 2 tower, so that would have been a very obvious location for you to counter. And now you just noticed him attack your ward, it's obvious that it's there. So at some point, I hope we're going to counter that. Jump into somebody, okay. No, we didn't get to jump into somebody. That's okay, you got melted pretty quick. Your team, again, a bit out of location. Solstice trolling, basically, trying to get off a full ultimate instead of being there to help. Pretty foolish. And now he comes in afterwards. Yeah, okay, so that was a very big throw. Very big. You guys were split up. There were 2 of you over here out of position. And then, Solstice back here blasting a full range ultimate, which is totally unnecessary. To channel that, I think it's like 5 seconds or something. What is it? 3 seconds. Okay, still. 3 seconds is still a lot of time. And again...
GG no re from FA.
Oh, did they say that? Oh.
Yeah.
And again... Just
from
another...
FA who has Nullstone and Ghost Marchers at 38 minutes. Talking big.
She's 284 GPM. And once again, we still have no wards on Kongor. We're getting to the point where it's no longer acceptable to have no wards on Kongor at this point. We're 40 minutes into the game. And these guys actually, what I would have done instead of trying to push this tier 2, I would have done a Kongor right now. They could have easily killed it with the people they have up still.
Madman with that lifesteal thingy can actually kind of solo Kong.
Yeah, that lifesteal thing. No, because not yet. He has to have some damage with it too because he gets stun locked too much from Kongor's ultimate. But
oh, lovely deny. That was beautiful.
Oh, I didn't notice it actually. Yeah, that is a good.
That was really nice, especially whenever you get a deny like that as a support. That shows some really good timing because your damage is shit, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. So first of all, I do want to say I mentioned the Kongor ward. They could have done Kongor. They could have done Kongor after they got that tier 2. They could have ran back and did it pretty quickly too. So I mean,
hope you're not going to place a ward up here.
Where are we?
You are going to place a ward up there. Okay.
Where?
Not really necessary.
Oh, at the
nomad.
Statue?
Yeah. Not really necessary. It's not horrible, but it's not.
And again,
necessary.
by the way, I think I'm a few seconds ahead of you.
I don't know why this keeps happening,
I guess let's just leave it at this point. Yeah. That should be. Oh no! You should have. You should have definitely tableted Kinesis, not yourself, because your skill that can disable him is a single target, and he has a null stone. Kinesis can throw his trees multiple times if he does it correctly, and you know it'll pop it once, of course, but then he can throw them again. So, not that he would have done it correctly, anyways, based off of how he's played so far, but just a thought. Again, well, not again, actually, just a thought. Trading South Forest for that tower, definitely not worth it. Definitely not worth it, especially considering South Forest has over a minute cooldown now on his death. It's not even close to worth it. So that was an odd choice on your part. What I would do at this point... We're going to
see you. Yeah, nice wall.
Yeah, you're definitely like 15 seconds behind me.
This is very nice.
What I would do at this point... Yeah, it was a nice wall, by the way. What I would do at this point, you guys... If you did it correctly, by the way, you wouldn't know this because you haven't really warded around Kongor or counter-warded around Kongor, but they don't have any wards around Kongor either. You guys are getting to the point in the game where you're going to lose team fights. Their Madman is starting to get some farm. You got his Shrunken now. He's got his Nullstone. He's got his Whispering Helm. Forsaken starting to get some farm. She's got a Forsaken, yeah. She's got a Nullstone and a Shield Breaker. You know, you're getting to the point where their carries are going to start overpowering you. That's not what you want. You guys have waited a significant portion of time to allow that to happen, but we're in the situation now. Make the best of it. So, what the hell is it? Oh, that's Madman farming your jungle. Interesting, because we have no wards down here, and he's probably... You just walked past him. He saw you, although you wouldn't have seen him because he was invis. Yeah. Okay, so we are warding down here. Nice. A Kongor ward. Perfect. What you guys should do, in my opinion, is ward up a couple places. You like the Kongor would be one. You should run. Don't try and fight him. Oh, God. Okay, he saw the... Yeah, if he was paying attention, he saw the Solstice skill, so he would back off. But you should probably get a ward up like here, and then maybe try and do Kongor. You know, if you... At the very least, you guys need to make something happen, because late game, they will probably win. So, it's just something to think about. Do we have Dust? We do have Dust. Okay, there we go. We use Dust. It's not going to matter. He's going to get away. This is a very big dive.
Oh, nice wall. Nice wall. Oh.
Yeah. Oh, alright, we got Madman. Alright, we got Madman. We're good. We're going to get Bombardier. Perfect. We're going to get Glacius, maybe? No. Yes, we are, actually. We're already getting nice job. Okay, so this is very good. Where is Hammerstorm? Hammerstorm, get your butt up here. No.
What I will say is, you should, when Glacius has already used all of his skills, you really want to be switching targets to FA to focus her down, because she's a much more important target than Glacius with no skills. And lovely tablet to help South Forest escape.
I don't know if you heard me whispering it. I saw the tablet off cooldown and South Forest running. I was like, tablet, please.
Oh, and he gets a regen.
Yeah.
What a jammy bastard.
Oh, nice wall to trap Lodestone in. Very good job. Solstice might want to be a touch careful. Oh, Lodestone's thing goes through the wall. That's right. That would make sense, I guess. I actually kind of thought it wouldn't, to be honest with you, but it's fine. Okay.
Basically, general guideline: if it goes over cliffs, it goes over the wall.
Yeah, I guess that's a good way to think about it. That would make sense.
For all skills. So Ra can go over the wall, for example.
Oh, Ra, his comet lets him go over the wall?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that. That is stupid. So we bought a mana potion. That's okay, I guess. Whatever, it's fine. Alright, let's see. Definitely stick around here. You want to get experience from these. You're starting to get a bit underleveled, okay, or not. That's fine. And Solstice, I actually would have left that little dragon in their Ancient's camp so that it doesn't respawn. I don't know why we're walking around here, Solstice. You're about to get caught out and killed. Okay, I guess Solstice just threw his computer out the window or something. Yeah, he's just... Okay, he just threw his computer out the window. Alright, that's okay. We don't need to live. Totally fine. I don't understand this.
Right, so he's trying to solo Kongor with no vision.
Yeah, on mine he already died. He died, yeah. They came and killed him. And he saw the Glacius auto attack onto Kongor too, so it definitely was obvious. Also, I don't think your ward picked up that they're in the Kongor pit right now. It might have just picked it up, just maybe. But either way, at this point, without Solstice, you probably can't stop it anyway. So.
Yeah, what you want to do with the Kongor ward, you need to be placing it a little bit more in the middle, because if they come down off either of those ramps and stick close enough to the side of the cliff, then they can get into Kong without that ward spotting them.
Although I will say, coincidentally enough, just barely is that ward out of the counter ward range. So had it been near the center, the counter ward would have gotten it, actually. So, I mean, not that it wouldn't have served its job still, you would have seen them in the pit, but I'm just saying, like, it actually did just barely avoid the counter. And on top of that, you guys probably could have assumed that they were going for Kongor anyways, since they just killed your Solstice, and all 5 of them were there. You saw a bunch of them, at least 3 or 4 of them when they killed Solstice, so, you maybe could have used some deductive reasoning and figured it out.
I want to yet again come back to that counter warding, because I hadn't finished making my point, but we keep it. Yeah. I was saying how you should counter ward only when you know they have a ward, and the way you'll know they have a ward is by seeing their reaction to things,
or seeing them place it.
For example, yeah, if you see them place it with one of your wards, obviously.
Yeah, some people don't notice this. They actually make an animation when they place it. Your guy like throws his hand in that direction or whatever it is.
Yeah. Also, you'll be able to see if you click on them and look at their inventory, the ward missing from if they placed it.
Can you actually count how many wards if they have a stack? I don't think you can.
If you click on the hero, yes, you can see their whole inventory and whatever's in there. But you lose that if they go into fog.
Okay. Yeah, of course, you would lose it.
Oh, God.
Team in general, probably not the best choice to be diving their jungle when they have a token now, and they're kind of beating you at this point. We did not get the courier. We let the courier distract us, and it's okay. We're going to get him anyways because of the tablet. Nice tablet. Very good job. You need to get the fuck out.
The reason they thought that is because Hammerstorm had his DD up.
Yeah, that's fine, I guess, but they... Yeah, this is what I was saying. You guys need to get the fuck out.
Hammerstorm at the last second. That's unfortunate.
At this point in the game, you guys should have a very clear idea how big this Madman is. Very, very big. Very big.
And Lodestone as well.
Lodestone too. Lodestone too. That's right. But
I hate the Basher, but he's got farm.
Yeah. So I mean, this shouldn't come as a surprise when he's 5 levels higher than you that you guys should get out if he's coming. Okay, and you could probably assume he's coming since you just killed half his team, and there's only 2 or 3. There was 3 of you, I guess. So he knows, hey, it's a 3v3, we can fight this, like, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you, I have a token on top of that, so probably should have gotten the fuck out of there after you got those 2 kills. That was a nice job. Trading Kinesis for that Forsaken was a good effort, okay, that's fine, that's a good trade for you guys, at this point in the game. But
I will say, even if you're playing Empath and you don't have any control over what the heroes are doing, if you see they're doing something wrong, tell them over chat, say don't go for that or whatever, just let them know that they need to not be doing that. Oh, Kinesis.
Yeah, and Solstice ultimate, pretty mediocre. It wasn't phenomenal, I guess, but it wasn't terrible. Let's see, it's just you and him up. Something to note, tablet, you can use it defensively, of course, but it does work on enemy heroes.
You could use it to break null stones as
yeah,
well.
Yeah, you could use it to break null stones. I was going to say you can use it to delay a push. If they're looking the wrong way, you can push them away from towers. It's a few extra seconds that actually can be beneficial, so it's something to think about. It's obviously not the optimal use of tablet, but if it saves your racks or a tower, then it could be worth it. So I mean, there's a borderline area where you don't want to use it and then realize, oh hey, now I'm gonna need it to save my teammate. But I mean, that comes down to a bit of judgment on your part, and we can't really tell you when and how to use it. So okay, our tower's gone. We should have a rev word right here now, constantly throughout the game, knowing they have a madman on the enemy team. We need to have a rev ward right where that tower was, or you can put it a bit further up if you want, just as long as it gives you racks vision. So something like that. You don't want them back, walking up and killing your racks is all I'm trying to say. Let's see. Hammerstorm's got some interesting items.
The helm, ugh.
Yeah, those are interesting. We'll talk about those at the end, I guess. And Solstice, also interesting items. You had all that gold and you decided, hey, you know what? I don't need a shrunken head. I'm good. Like,
against that team with all that magic damage and lockdown.
I'm 1-9-13. Nah, I don't need a shrunken head. I'm good. I don't understand that logic, but what do I know? Okay, so God, that's just, oh my God. So I'm assuming that tube you have is going to be built into a cyclone stick, or a storm spirit, sorry, not a sheep stick, because it would be too expensive for you.
Yeah. Also, you can break up the Ring of the Teacher to get that cyclone.
You can, actually. The Ring of the Teacher has a scarab in it. That's a good point.
And the Ring of the Teacher doesn't stack with Kinesis's Gnome's Wisdom, so you might as well do that.
Good point. Is this going to be a free kill? No, it's not going to be a free kill for us, and he'll probably get away. Oh no, he decided to stick around and fight. Kind of an odd choice by him. Madman, that is. But I guess his team was coming. He thought they would be there in time. It's okay. Good trade. At the very least, he kept you guys around for his team to back him up, rather. And there's the concede vote, and that's going to be it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
By the way, look at Bombardier's items. He really wanted his ult to do damage, didn't he?
Very much so. Holy crap, he even got a Grimoire. Okay, now, let's briefly summarize for you. You played quite well. There are a few,
Hang on, mate, sorry. Before we do the summary, I'd like to just go over why you lost that game, because that's something that we kind of skip over sometimes when we're doing the summary.
Yeah, sure, why not?
The reasons that you lost that game, and this is something I want to note for everyone watching, is when you're in a game, and when you're that far ahead, as your team was very far ahead, you kind of had that game in the bag. I'm guilty of it myself. I've been in teams, even when we're doing 5 blocks, where we do the same thing. We get overconfident and we try to force tower pushes and force it our way into the base just because we're really far ahead, and it ends up throwing and turning the game around. I've been in countless games on both sides of it where it happens.
Yeah, me too.
Never underestimate the ability of a team to throw the game by trying to force their way into the enemy base far too early and not playing smart.
On a related note, usually if a team has more stuns, you're less likely to try and force things to happen, okay? It's not always, but on a general rule of thumb, the more stuns they have, the less you want to try and force it to happen. You want it to kind of go in. So,
especially as you have a team which does not have heavy push, and the enemy team can quite easily wipe out your creep waves just as easily as you can get rid of theirs. In fact, more so. Actually, they have abilities which allow them to just clear out your creep waves as they're going in. So you just have to tank the towers with heroes, and you cannot do that unless you're very, very farmed. So what I would like to say is that is the reason that you lost the game. You got too ballsy too early. Everyone on your team just diving over and over again, just thinking, "Oh, we're the boss. We've owned this game. Let's go and win." Obviously, your bot lane lost quite hard as well, which is another factor. Obviously, Lodestone being 15-1 compared to Kinesis being 2-14. That's where I'm getting that from.
I will say that Kinesis did not play well in almost every sense. He did very poorly in everything, including his items, by the way. The gnomes probably wouldn't have been my first item on him. Doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, but it's not terrible, I will say.
There's nothing wrong with the gnome system. I like it on Kinesis, but you need build-up items, and he has none. But yeah, what I'll just give some just general advice. But if you're ahead and you want to win, the game, the best thing to do is push. If you're on help one side, you want to push. I'll just say it this way: you want to push the side of their base first that has the jungle next to it. So if you're on Hellborn side, you want to push Legion bot, and if you're on Legion side, you want to push Hellborn top. And the reason for that is you can get wards up in their jungle as for a start, and then all your heroes can just sit and farm their jungle all in a big group. You can all just share out the farm in their jungle. They're not getting anything at this point. One of their heroes is likely to come in, especially if you counter ward and ward all of the usual jungle spots. So one of their heroes is going to go in and try to catch up on some farm, because obviously they're behind a farm. You can pick that hero off, push all the towers in that lane, and then rinse and repeat. So basically, if you pick off a hero or pick off 2 heroes and you still have everyone up, you can then go and push the tower on the base, and maybe the melee rags if you can.
And actually, that's what they did to you. You guys kept getting over cocky, and they would pick off 1 or 2 of you because you were being stupid, not necessarily you in particular, but your team in general, and then they would push your towers back. It was the reverse. It was the opposite.
Yeah, so if you want to win, basically, ward and counter ward their jungle, sit in their jungle, kill their heroes, and gradually push the base. And then once you've taken that side, Then what you want to do is you want to go to the opposite side. You want to farm up their ancients, and you want to push that side because it's more difficult to defend. But don't try and push it hard. Basically, just keep picking at the tower. Just keep whittling it down, but staying out of tower range, because while you're doing that, your other lane that you've already raxed is going to automatically push into their base, and they're going to have to spend resources to defend that. So you can either try and force them to initiate on you, or see an opportunity for an initiation when one of their heroes has gone to defend the other lane.
Yeah.
And in that manner, you can win a team fight and get the second rax. And then from there, when you're two sides down on opposite sides, it's very difficult to defend, and you can go and take Kongor and then go and push mid and win the game. And that is the basic way that if you're in the lead, this is how, as the captain and drafter for my team, this is how I try and set up every game. So get a good lead in the early laning phase, get farm on the heroes that need it early on, play safe, try to get as many ganks and pickoffs as possible, and then group up and push as a team, and do it in a smart way and don't overextend. It's often we end up not doing that because you do get overconfident, and it's something that affects everyone, even when you're trying to think it all out. But if you can keep a clear head and get your team to come with you and do these things and speak to them logically, don't yell at them, don't tell them they're idiots for not doing this. Just explain to them why this is the best way to do. And if you explain it in a way that makes sense to people, like I just did, most people will listen to you.
Yeah. Because most people don't like looking like idiots. And if you tell them, explain why what you're saying to do is the right thing to do, it's the right thing to do. They're going to be like, yeah, well, I want to do this. It's like, well, then you're a douchebag. Go fuck yourself. And then everybody hates them. But, yeah, that's exactly. The other thing you can do, and we've talked about this in the past, actually. In one game, we've mentioned it, I believe. In one game with the push strategy, I remember that. Is you can Kongor if you do it properly, and you can use that to push into the base. However, Kongor is almost always done after you take out all of their outer towers, unless you get a very clear opportunity to do so. But
taking Kong, essentially, if you can do it early, it essentially gives you a free lane's worth of towers, because they can't teamfight you because it's 6 versus 5, essentially.
Yeah.
They cannot teamfight you when your carry has 2 lives. So they will basically concede a whole bunch of towers until that token runs out. You can't really push into the base necessarily with it, because they still
depending on some other things.
Yeah, it depends. But basically, if you get a token and they still have outer towers remaining, you just get all those outer towers for free, unless the enemy team is stupid and tries to fight you, in which case you get all the hero kills and the outer towers and probably a Rax as well.
Assuming you do it correctly. Don't think you can just go balls to the wall just because you have a token. You still need to play smart. But yeah, if you do it right, then it's 6 versus 5. They're not going to fight you unless they're stupid, or unless they have some crazy advantage, which I don't know why they would let you get the Kongor kill anyways if they did. So there would be no reason to.
Yeah. So yeah, let's go on and talk about the usual stuff we talk about after the game. I think I've babbled on enough about how to win.
A couple things I want to mention about you, Rolighed. I'm not sure if that's how you say your name, but that's what I'm going to call you, Rolighed2. A couple things I want to say about you real quickly. So you played quite well, actually, especially for a 1480. I would say you played at probably a 1600 level, if not maybe even a bit higher than that. But there were some things you did do that were slightly mistakes, and usually it came down to what appeared to be just slightly bad decision-making in the moment. And I think if you actually thought about it, you could be like, oh, you know what, that really doesn't make a lot of sense. And a couple of them that were making a little bit less sense to me. First of all, there were 1 or 2 times where you jumped into someone that, I'm referring to your ultimate, of course, where you jumped into someone that just, it didn't necessarily make sense. The one that comes to mind is when South Forest was just pretty much dead. You jumped into him. You don't, remove debuffs. It's not like you free him from a stun when you jump into him or anything like that. Now, granted, you can essence link.
That'd be a nice staff effect.
Yeah. Well, you can essence link, but I mean, it doesn't really regen enough to make it worth using your ultimate on. And then you were kind of fucked after he died, which was about 0.25 seconds after you jumped into him. And I think that happened once more, actually, where you might have jumped into Solstice and it didn't necessarily make the most sense either. So just a little bit decision making. I know in the moment it's tough, but it comes with practice. You kind of just get used to. You get a feel of how to use your skills, and it just kind of comes with it. Another thing, and we talked about it quite a bit during the whole video, so feel free to rewatch it if you missed any of it. We talked about your warding a lot because you were doing it a lot. So first of all, props for warding. Not many 1500s do because they're stupid and don't realize how valuable wards are. And on a side note, just on another thing, if your support is doing poorly, other people on the team can help out with wards, okay? You don't all have to be assholes about it and say, oh, no, the support has to buy the wards. No. If your support's, got freaking 75 gold per minute and he's got no items, help him out a bit. Buy him a ward or two, don't be an asshole about it. Like I said, it's invaluable. Even if it's you who's putting up the 100 gold for it as opposed to your support, even if it's carry, that's not the optimal way to do it, but it's still invaluable. It's still worth more than 100 gold.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm playing a farming hero and I see my support doesn't even have boots, I'll buy him a couple of wards and make sure he gets those boots, because it's very important for supports to at least have boots.
Yeah. So, I mean, don't be an asshole about it. But with that being said, you did ward quite a bit, so mad props to you. On top of that, you counter-warded a little bit. But again, there were a couple times where maybe it should have been intuitive, and I'm thinking about that one on the cliff near the tier 2 on the Hellborn side, that you should have counter-warded, especially if you saw that he had that rune ward up. If you saw the rune ward had no ward on it, maybe I would understand, oh, maybe he's not warding, so I'm not going to counter this. That would be logical, but you got the rune ward, so logically you would think he probably has a ward there.
You did do a smart job of counter-warding only when you saw them placing wards, though, so that's you did play it smart enough there.
Yeah, you weren't throwing away gold, so that's better than, I would say a person who does no counter-warding is better than a person who counter-wards stupidly and just goes and throws 800 gold down on counter-wards on just all the common spots, okay? It's just a waste of gold. I prefer you don't do it at all and get items. Buy an eye. Yeah, or get items if you well, an eye too, that's fine, either or, but I'm just saying, like, if you're not doing it intelligently, don't counter-ward, because you're wasting your money. It's literally just throwing it away, because you can go through so much money. There's no cap on how many counter-wards you can buy. So, unlike wards, you can only buy a certain amount, but with counter-wards, you can throw away, all your money. It's like gambling. You can just throw it away and get nothing for it if you're not doing it smart. So, good job on the ones you did do. On top, the only other real comment to have on your wards is that there were a couple times where they were kind of not necessarily overlapping, but kind of not the best choices. So you tend to stick with all of the top side of the map, almost all game, which isn't necessarily wrong. There were a couple times where we said that the aggressive warding you had was unnecessary, and I still stand by that. There was in the early game it was like 15 minutes or something like that where you warded the T2 cliff and the center of the Hellborn jungle, and it was overkill. You didn't need to do it. It was unnecessary. But there was a number of times throughout the game where you should have had wards near the bottom of the map, and at the very least one just at that bottom rune ward up on one of the cliffs down there so you could see some choke points and stuff. At the very least that. Just because you guys are primarily in the top side of the map doesn't mean you don't want any sight down there. You do need to go down there occasionally for Kongor, or when your team is farming, you don't want them to get ganked, or whatever the reason may be. There are occasions where you are going to want wards at that choke point, and there were a number of times throughout the game where you didn't have wards down there that if I was the carry farming the jungle, I would have been a little bit upset that I have absolutely no vision and could be ganked at any time. Now, on the other hand, I probably would have just bought a ward if that was the case, and I needed to do so. So, I mean, it's just something to think about. You had all the wards. You were over-warding on the top, I think, and not warding necessarily enough on the bottom. And again, feel free to rewatch, because we did comment on it throughout the game. The only other thing I wanted to talk about was... well, when it comes to gameplay, because we'll get to your items and stuff in that in a second. The only other gameplay thing I wanted to talk about was there were once or twice where you were slightly out of position, and Empath is a forgiving hero in the sense that even if you're out of position, you could maybe jump into a hero on your team and kind of remedy that situation. But you're better off not putting yourself in that position to begin with. So, I mean, even though it is a forgiving hero. It's like those, carries that can farm really well. People are like, oh, I had a bad lane. Oh, well, I just go, farm and get back. Well, yeah, you can do that, but if you don't put yourself in the situation, it makes it a bit better. You didn't make a huge mistake, any huge positioning mistakes, so I'm not going to bring too much attention to it. Just something to think about. Any more comments on his gameplay real quickly before we move on?
Not really. I think we've about covered it.
And then just briefly, there was one time where I saw you waiting on the wall. And we did talk about it, and I totally understand the reasoning for waiting, but maybe think about it. I'm not necessarily saying that not waiting is better, but you don't have to ward a choke point for it to be a valuable wall use, just so you know. Okay. Your score, 8, 9, 16, that's fine. You died probably a bit more than most empaths would, but it's understandable. So, I mean, there were,
Yeah,
like I
that was
said,
kind of after their team started snowballing
yeah,
against
yeah,
you.
it was.
He
Plus,
was 7-3 at one point,
yeah,
which is
yeah, I
pretty
know, I
damn
know.
good.
So you did do well, and then the enemy team kind of took off, and it happens. So I'm not going to criticize your score. Your farm, CK wise, you probably should have had a bit more than that. You weren't necessarily wasting all that much time, but there were moments here and there where maybe you could have used your wall to farm a yellow camp, when you were running through the jungle, or maybe grabbed a creep here or there. So
I think when you're like that low down in the farming chain, like you're the fifth hero priority to farm,
yeah,
having virtually no creep score is just fine, because
yeah,
I do that a lot on support. I end up with like 20 something creep score, and
yeah. It's not
I
it's not
still end
really
up getting
wrong.
items as long as I'm getting kills and assists.
Yeah,
So
it's not really wrong, and you still finish with 177 GPM, which for support, 200 GPM is decent. That's fine. That's actually good, I would say. Especially assuming you're using it right and all kinds of things. Oh, sorry about that.
as long as you're above 150 on a support, you've
Yeah.
done just fine. Above 200 is good.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so your creep's fine. I will say you might have, it would have been nice to have a bit more denies in the lane, but even 11 is okay, so don't worry about it. Okay, on to your items. Your items, I actually love them. The only thing
Yeah.
I want to correct, there are some minimal corrections. First of all, no vestments at all. You didn't get vestments throughout the entire game, and by the way, neither did Kinesis or really anybody else on the team with the exception of South Forest, and we'll talk about it when we get to him, of course. But vestments should have been a given for everybody on the team, with the maybe only exception being like Hammerstorm, maybe because he's a fairly tanky hero.
I'd say the only exception being Empath, to be honest, because of the fact that
yeah, but even with the ultimate, I still think it's 400
She
gold. It's really not that big of an investment.
Still should have got them.
Yeah.
It's not the biggest deal that you didn't, because obviously you needed item slots for Ward and TP when you were carrying around a bunch of other items.
Yeah. So,
but you could have gotten rid of the Ring of the Teacher and just split it and kept the Scarab in your stash, and you could have not had to have the mana tube on you, so you could have just had vestments instead.
yeah. So I will say that's a correction. I would say definitely needed vestments. And on top of that, I probably would have picked up at least a mana battery, if not a power supply at some point too. It's just a really nice item to have on all supports, really. So, I mean,
Strider's power supply and Mystic Vestments on a support in almost every single game.
yeah, it's not crazy critical, but it's really just such a cheap item for so much benefit, And that's the same reason why you get Mystic Vestments. 400 gold for +5 magic armor. That's awesome. That's a very big benefit for a fairly small amount of gold when you think about it. And Striders too. It gives you all that mobility to roam around for only another 300 gold more, So it's nice. So those are the corrections I would have made. The other thing is your starting items. We talked about it at the beginning. You're welcome to go back and relook it if you want to know our reasonings and such. I would have not gone the Ring of the Teacher on Empath, or at the very least, not right away. You didn't need the Guardian Ring right off the bat.
I'll tell you what I got on every single support.
Yeah, feel free.
If I'm going long lane, 2 wards. If I'm going short lane, I'll get Courier, and the long lane support should get the 2 wards. And this is in every single game, basically. Your short lane support should be getting the Courier, and the long lane support should be getting both wards. And the reason for that is it's 200 gold for each support, and the long lane support needs to place a pull ward, so you might as well get the other ward as well. And then both supports have spent 200 gold on support stuff at the beginning of the game.
Of course.
And then on top of that 200 gold, what you want to get is 2 times Runes of the Blight and 2 minor totems to be built into a power supply, and also just for some early stats, and either 2 mana potions or a health potion, depending on whether your support is mana intensive. On Empath, I probably would have got the mana potions because I like to play aggressive and I like to use my skills. But on pretty much every support, it's the same. It's 2 Runes of the Blight. And the reason you get 2 Runes of the Blight is because it gives you enough regen to basically beat any other support in Harass, because most people only will get 1 set. Mm-hmm. So you'll be able to trade Harass and you'll be able to beat most other supports. The other thing is, if your carry runs out of Runes of the Blight, because they'll be taking more Harass, especially if they're melee, then you can just give them over to your carry, and it gives them a lot more staying power in the lane.
Of course. So I will say he did get 2 wards, and that's fine. The thing is that Guardian Ring, even though it's not crazy expensive, it you didn't have like any stats. I think you might have had one totem, if that. I don't
Yeah,
even
he
think
did. He
yeah,
had
he had
one.
one. So I mean, you had a Guardian Ring, two wards, a health potion, mana potion, and a minor totem. That's not enough regen and stats. And granted, the armor will help you a bit when it comes to harass and things like that. And then, of course, you can build it into the ring to get a bit more mana regen and stuff like that, and armor for your ally. It's still not enough,
well,
though.
I think.
What'd you say?
It gives you damage as well.
Does it?
Sure,
Oh,
yeah.
sorry, +5 damage. Okay. Yeah, sorry. So it is a bit helpful in that sense, but I don't think it takes precedence, at least in Empath. Some heroes it does, but not necessarily in Empath. I don't think it takes precedence over stats and regen. Pretty much always on a support. There are cases where the Guardian Ring's fine, like Dependent Shaman or a few others, where you can totally go Guardian Ring, and it's totally okay because of your skills. They work out that you don't necessarily need the regen as much or things of that nature. Empath, I don't really think is one of them because it's fairly easy to break her essence link, so she can't really regen with it. I mean, it's
unless you regen off of creeps.
Yeah, of course. But then that seems like a waste of mana, in all honesty, because it's not exactly a cheap skill either. So I mean, it's not super expensive, but it's not like a freaking Armadon Spines or something like that. So, I think the stats and regen are almost always a better choice. There are cases, like I said, that it's not, but in general, it is. And then, of course, 2 wards if you're going, like he was saying, and or courier, depending on where you are, and some totems is really the way to go. Other than that, the only other criticism I would have on your items per se is that maybe I would have gone. Actually, you know what? I probably would have gone Void Talisman instead of Cyclone Stick at the end. I can't think of the name right now, but. Storm Spirit, yeah, thank you. A Storm Spirit at the end. I probably would have just gone Void Talisman instead, considering how much physical damage they have this late in the game. That's just me. It's not necessarily wrong to go Storm Spirit, but I think when you're getting to the point where the carries are picking up Shrunken Heads and Null Stones and all that kind of stuff, it's really not as beneficial anymore as people think it is. So just something to think about. But other than that, your items are totally fine. Your play was fine. Just fix the minor things we had. Let's briefly go over people's creep score real quick. South Forest, considering you got a mock and you should have had basically free farm in your lane. I mean, they had a double range, so it really wasn't total free farm. They can harass you a fair amount, but
you got an early mock. You should have had a higher creep score.
Yeah, that's what I was going to finish that off with. At 50 minutes with a mock, you should probably have close to 300, if not over. Oh, sorry, my throat's really scratchy today. So just something to think about. Let's see, Solstice, that's an okay. It's fine. It's not wrong. That's an okay, especially considering your items, and we'll talk about them when we get to them. Hammerstorm.
He died 10 times though.
Huh?
He died 10 times though.
Yeah, I know, and that's why I was saying that it was okay. We'll talk about it when we get to his items. Hammerstorm, that's again okay, not great. You probably should have had a bit more than that, but that's just. I mean, I guess it's not terrible.
They lost their lane, presumably.
Yeah, presumably they did. Although, to be honest with you, Lodestone and Bombardier really don't have that much more farm combined than those two do. So, it's just something to think about, but we'll get to it when we get to it. Kinesis, considering you were babysitting and you didn't do all that well throughout the game and you lost your lane and all that, we'll say that's an okay creep score, all right? We talked about you, Empath. Forsaken, you should have had more than that. You were in a double range lane. I mean, there's no reason you shouldn't have been getting some creep kills. You did very poorly early on. I remember that. It took you, 25, 30 minutes or something to get your Nullstone. It was pretty pitiful, actually.
It was 38 minutes he started trash talking when he had Nullstone and Ghost Marches.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but I know you had a very poor start. And on Forsaken, who is a hero that is known for being one of the heroes that you can get a crazy number of creep kills in a game, that you should have more than that. Like, between her skeletons and split shot, you can farm even the jungle really, easy and efficiently. It's really not that hard.
And you can farm triple ancients with your ult as well as the other skills.
That's true. His ult has a fairly low cooldown. I think it's a minute at level 3, although I'm not, 60 seconds.
It's not that low, but it's low enough to get away with using it to farm triple ancients on a carry.
Yeah, assuming nothing's going to happen in the next minute, or are just assuming that, you guys can play a bit passive for the next minute if you need to. So it's not totally a big deal. But either way, that's not enough. Not even close to enough. I don't know what happened. I don't know what the case was. That's not enough, though. Your lucky Madman carried you is what I'm going to... Madman and Lodestone. Because even though your score may, say that you did okay, you really didn't. That's not good. You didn't do good. Your items aren't good. I think you KS'd a fair amount, but I wasn't watching you totally, so I'm not going to criticize you on that. Glacius, that's actually an okay creep score. That's actually fine.
Yeah,
And
it did just fine.
yeah, Madman, again, totally, that's a fine creep score. Although I will say it appeared as though you were losing mid early on, which shouldn't necessarily happen. You have about the same, if not a better animation than Solstice. So I mean, he can't really, harass you out of the lane. At least he shouldn't. But I don't know. It may come down to a bit of skill level, but I don't think necessarily Madman should lose to Solstice. So I don't know what was going on, but I noticed that 19 minutes you were still fairly far off from your what turned out to be a Nullstone. I thought it was Cleaver, but that's fine either way. You were still fairly far off. So just something to think about. But it's not a bad creep score really. Lodestone and Bombardier I'm going to do together. It looked like you guys were just splitting farm, I guess, so that's fine. I would have probably just given it all to Lodestone, but that's okay. Either way, it's totally fine. So, that's okay. Let's move on to items. So, Lord Forest items. So your boots are okay. You got the vestments, you got helm, all good. Then you got, I believe, you went into a.
He went Ghost Marcher's helm, vestments, mock.
Yeah.
Shaman's Barb.
That's what I was thinking. Okay. So that's actually not a bad order, necessarily. If you're going to go mock, totally fine. I don't know why your creep score was so low, considering you got the mock decently timed, but I don't know. I'd have to watch again to figure it out. So
he had it pre-25, I'm
yeah, that's a good time. And then you got all that on a double side note. Well, not really side note, I guess. Taddy has talked about this a number of times before. You can break up the helm to get a beast heart. You don't need to buy another one for your behemoth's heart. So I'm assuming that's what that was for.
The helm is pointless late game in comparison to behemoth's heart, and it's not worth the items slot it takes up. So there's no reason to get both. I've said that multiple times in these videos. I'm not going to elaborate on that.
Yeah. So that's that. Other than that, though,
I will elaborate just real quickly because Lodestone did it. So stop it.
Thank you for elaborating. Stop it. Yeah, other than that, though, your items really aren't wrong. I don't know. You were just misplaying, dude. They're really okay. Solstice. So you just something in your mind was like, hey, I don't need to survive. Let's just focus on doing damage. No. So I don't know what happened. Your boots are fine. The chalice is totally unnecessary. I'm not sure why you decided to get that, but fine. Even ignoring that mistake. Then you went into Shield Breaker. Okay, cool. Now we have Abyssal, and actually I think you got the Abyssal last. So Shield Breaker into Brutalizer. Okay, you definitely should have had a Shrunken Head in between there. But fine, we made that mistake. Now we're going Shrunken Head, right? Nope, now we're going Abyssal. I don't know.
I think you got the Abyssal before, actually.
I'm almost positive you didn't, but either way, it doesn't really matter the order. Either way, it doesn't make any sense. You needed a Shrunken Head, and you didn't even get vestments, or at least you may have gotten them and sold them, so I'll take that back. I wasn't paying attention. But it just doesn't make any sense. They have so
needed
much
a Shrunken Head really badly.
They have so much Shrunken Head, and they have so much lockdown with magic damage. There's no reason not to. Absolutely no reason not to.
Yeah, and that's the main reason why you died so many times and weren't effective in teamfights. You had all this damage, but no way of getting any of it off because you were just dying too quickly.
Yeah, although I will say he actually misplayed at least 2, probably 3 or even more times where he sat back and tried to get a full ultimate off instead of trying to be in the team fight, and he'd blast his ultimate when they'd all moved, and then he'd go in 1v4 now that all of his team is dead. So
none of those items that you've got on Solstice are bad items. The Chalice is questionable, but maybe if you were being active and you thought you needed the mana regen, it's fine. It's a situational item, just generally.
And assuming the Arcana was for a Hellflower.
A Hellflower and not a Spell Shards.
If you're going Spell Shards, then you're stupid.
If you're going Spell Shards, then please give me a dress so I can come and slap you.
Yeah, that's just stupid. But yeah, none of it's necessarily bad. You just needed more survivability. It doesn't make any sense why you chose to skip Shrunken Head. Absolutely no sense. And actually, it's even recommended on him, I'm pretty sure. So there's absolutely no reason. So I don't understand the logic. Hammerstorm. So
fine with them apart from the helm.
Yeah, so the helm is questionable, to say the least. And then on top of that, I would have said that the Rift Shards are not as good of a choice as a Demonic Breastplate would have been, or at the very least, a Soul's Bulwark.
Definitely, your team needed a Souls. It needed to be on either Forest or Solstice or Hammerstorm, and none of them got it. And it's a huge, brilliant item for the price.
Actually, nobody got it this game. That's
exactly. It was on either team. That's ridiculous. It's such a fantastic item for the price, and it gives your team so much whether it's on positive or negative, you know.
And on top of that, it builds into a great item, Demonic Breastplate. Yeah. That's an awesome item. On almost any, melee hero that deals with attack damage, that's an awesome item. So.
Yeah, another thing is, where's your portal key, dude? You need a portal key more than you need a helm, way more than you need a helm. Come on.
They're about the same cost, actually.
Yeah, 50 gold difference.
Slightly more, yeah.
50 gold difference. You don't need a helm on Hammerstorm if you play him right. Like,
it's actually a 75 gold difference. But
he did okay. Judging by his score, he didn't really die that much. But then he wasn't. He has very low kills and assists, so that tells me he wasn't really in a lot of the fights.
Yeah. But I mean, other than that, man, I probably wouldn't have changed much. I would have definitely traded the helm for a PK, and I would have definitely dropped those Rift Shards for a demonic, or at the very least. Because I don't know what level they were. Even if they were level 1, that's enough to get a Soul's Bulwark and have a little left over. So, I mean, Souls should have definitely been your item of choice if the other two didn't get it. I don't know why nobody decided to get that. In a lot of my games, we fight over who gets it because it's such a good item. Multiple people want to get it. So, I mean, it's a great item. There's really no reason not to have one on almost any team. Every now and then there's a very slight, acceptability limit where it's like, okay, you decided, you want to end the game in 20 minutes. Maybe you want something else instead. It's okay.
If there's no physical damage on either team.
Yeah, but that's rare.
But even then, you want it for pushing towers.
Yeah, so I mean, it doesn't make any sense, man. I'm not necessarily criticizing you as much as I'm criticizing the whole team in that sense. I don't know why nobody wanted that. But, I mean, the Shrunken is fine, the Boots are fine, the Whispering Helm is even fine, although you weren't using it to stack the Ancients, which I find a bit odd, but maybe your micro level's a bit low, so it's not totally out of the ordinary.
Weren't even using it to get creeps throughout the entire game.
Yeah. Zelembotch playing Kinesis, so...
His items are fine, he just doesn't have any.
I'm going to go ahead and assume you are not the best player. I don't know. I'm actually going to look how many games has he played. I don't know why he's not lower, to be honest with you. I saw the 2 ward placements right away. Before that, I hadn't noticed him throughout the game, but I saw those 2 wards, and I was like, what is going on?
He's got 200 matches, so he's 46% win.
Yeah, so we have 100 gold per minute, way too low. Even Empath was playing babysit. He has less creep skills than you. Granted, it's only 1, but he has less creep kills than you, and he still has higher GPM than you because he died less than you. But I mean, he was more active than you. He was more useful. He was warding. He was doing his job much more than you, or she actually. I don't know if Rolighed is a girl or not, but you just weren't doing anything close to what you should have been doing. I am assuming you had a really shitty bottom lane. Okay, I'll give you that. Maybe those 2 were just beating the crap out of you. Although to be fair, Hammerstorm should have been able to stun them off you even if they initiated on you, so I don't totally understand that. But even if you had a shitty bottom lane, there were a number of cases throughout the game where you just were not playing right. So whatever it is, man, if you want to submit a replay, we'll go ahead and fix it for you. I'm not going to go back and look at you for this game, but feel free. I don't know what was going on. There were so many mistakes.
He was just horribly out of position. Kinesis is one of those heroes that does a stupid amount of burst damage with his ult, and then does a little bit of sustained damage with his other skills,
and has AoE damage too,
and has a little bit of utility. So you want to be staying right back in team fights, making sure you get your damage off at least before you die, and then hopefully hanging back and using your utility and your other skills to net kills and help out your allies.
Yeah, and on a side note, he said your items are okay. I would say they're not, in the sense that you don't have vestments, you don't have any stat items really. With the, I think Gnomes gives a little bit, does it? Yeah, so it gives a little bit of stats, but you don't have any stat items. You don't have Mystic Vestments. You don't have a power supply. You were clearly playing a babysit role, so those should have been on your list. You also, by the way, I didn't mention this for everybody, but a lot of people did not carry TPs in this game. So my catchphrase was dying on me on this game, but I'm back on it. TPs, everybody, come on. But so yeah, and then on top of that, I would have actually, even if you wanted a fortified bracer, granted, Empath built a Astrolabe, so maybe you didn't need another one, but I mean, you were dying too much, man. You needed stat items, and the freaking the Blood Chalice, I would say, is probably not necessarily the best item either. But I mean, at the very least, even if he says those items are okay, I'll take his word for it. Fine, they're fine. But you definitely needed vestments. You definitely needed a power supply, considering how much you were dying. So that should have been on your list somewhere.
Yep.
Okay.
The items themselves are just fine. It's just you didn't have enough of them.
Yeah.
You didn't have build-up items, etc.
Yeah.
So we're on to FA now, yeah?
Yeah, Forsaken. Okay, so we talked about it already. I don't know what was going on with you, Forsaken. You had a terrible early game. I wasn't paying attention, so I'm not going to, go ahead and list reasons as to why. Although I would be willing to make a significant bet that it came down to, A, your last hitting ability and time management skills. Because you didn't die all that much, so, I mean, you died some, but not a crazy amount.
At the start, he died a bunch.
Yeah, but still. So, okay, so, fine. Let's say you died a couple times. Still, Forsaken can bounce back quite easily because of, the two passive skills she has that allow her to farm either the lane or the jungle quite easily, actually. Although, granted, if you farm the lane, you probably need wards for, potential ganks. But, that's another topic for another discussion. Putting that aside, let's go ahead and look at just the items you have and ignore the fact that you have way too little of them in a 50-minute game, okay? So your boots, totally fine. I have no, against that. Although what I will say is a lot of the time, it's either 50-50. So some people will go phase boots. I'm one of those people. I like phase boots. Other people will go Energizer and Steam boots, and that's okay.
Yeah, that's my build.
Yeah. I'm fine with literally either build. Granted, you invest a bit more money in the Steam boots Energizer, but you do get some benefits that you don't get with the phase boots. So it's totally fine either way. And on top of that, it gives you stats. If you're doing poorly early on, which supposedly you were, fine. Build that way. You get some stats from the Energizer, which is nice to help you out.
And from the Steam boots, obviously.
Yeah, and the Steam boots too. Putting that aside.
After that, you want a farming item. Nullstone's okay on FA. It's not really necessary. She doesn't use a lot of mana to farm.
Yeah,
I would prefer to have seen a Whispering Helm as your farming item of choice, and then into a Firebrand, and then into Shrunken Head, then Geos.
Yeah,
that's how I would have built.
They don't really have any crazy, single targets that are super key. The ones that, do come to mind are, Hammer Stun and maybe Solstice Stun. Other than that, they don't really have too many single targets that really warrant a Nullstone. So,
well, Self-Force Ult, I guess.
Oh yeah, you know what? I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, Self-Force Ult. Does Self-Force Ult isn't superior? It doesn't go through a Shrunken, right?
Yeah, it is superior.
It is superior? Okay.
Yeah.
But is it superior damage, or is it like superior, like can you actually use it on someone in a Shrunken?
I'm not sure. I know it's superior damage, but I don't think it can be applied through Shrunken.
Because I know, some skills.
Nullstone is actually a bad choice considering they have Kinesis. You should know that he has like a nothing cooldown skill.
And I mean, granted, assuming he's not unintelligent and throws all 4 trees at once or whatever, and then just isn't because that would pop it on all 4 of them. But assuming he's intelligent and does them 1 trade at a time, he would pop that fairly easily, and then you'd be kind of fucked. And the same will apply to Madman when we talk about him. He also got a Nullstone. I definitely would have not gone that. And yeah, I probably would have. Whispering Helm's totally fine. That would probably have been my item of choice for farming too. And then yeah, I probably would have gone Whispering Helm straight into a Shrunken even. And then after that, you can go a couple different routes. Taddy mentioned his. I probably would have gone Frostburn, and then I like to, or no, not Frostburn, sorry, because we got the Whispering Helm, Firebrand, and then into a Geos probably right after that, and then maybe a couple other things depending on what I need. Maybe a Savage Mace if I need more damage, or maybe a couple other things. Maybe a Wingbow if they're not building a Savage Mace. Maybe a Wingbow so you can do more damage. And get some evasion.
He might have been building there because that.
I'm assuming that's what it was.
Yeah, because
he got a Dancing Blade.
Yeah, if he was going Genjuro, he probably would have got the Shroud first.
Yeah, that's the most logical. So you got Shield Breaker. That's not a bad attack modifier in her, but you don't have any survivability. You have none. Like
the Nullstone and against the agility from the Dancing Blade gives armor, but
you have a Nullstone, and I neglect the armor from the agility because it's practically nothing. 25 agility, you'll probably give you like 2 armor or something like that. 1 armor.
It gives you a lot more than that, dude.
Is it? How much is it?
I can't remember exactly how much armor agility points give you. Let me just look it up.
I thought it was like 0.14 each point or whatever. It depends on the hero, I thought. But regardless, so fine. Even with the armor, it's still not enough. You needed a Shrunken Head at some point. And I don't know, that build just doesn't make a lot of sense. It really doesn't. The Shrunken Head, or not the Shrunken Head, sorry, the Nullstone is very questionable. And fine, you want Shield Breaker as your attack modifier? Okay, cool. But you need a Shrunken Head. You probably want a Geos at some point. You know what? You definitely want a Geos at some point. And probably a Savage Mace too. Or even fine, if you want to go Wingbow, they don't have a Savage Mace, so sure, Wingbow's a reasonable item too. But I mean that just doesn't make a lot of sense. So moving on, Burned Genius. So you warded somewhat. We talked about your wards throughout the game, so I'm not going to bring too much attention to that. So talking about your items, Strider's totally fine. You have no vestments as well. So vestments. And actually, Forsaken, you should have gotten vestments too, my friend. Everybody in this game should have vestments, okay? Let's put it that. I'm not going to comment on everybody. So vestments for all. Then we have... Okay, Glacius, you went from Strider straight into a Shrunken Head. That doesn't make a lot of sense. I understand the reasoning. I know you want to be able to channel your ultimate. That's not necessarily a wrong way of thinking, just that you were not, 50 minutes and you didn't have the Shrunken Head completed. So if you're not going to complete a Shrunken Head by 50 minutes, don't get it, because it's not going to be useful. Like, get support items instead if you can't farm up enough to complete a Shrunken Head. And fine, you can't farm up enough. That's totally fine. Then don't play, damage dealer Glacius. You play support Glacius, You don't get PK and Shrunken Head. You get, like, Tablet or Astrolabe or Storm Spirit or things like that.
Having only the plus 10 strength for the entire game is just...
And again,
horrible.
No vestments and no power supply, which you also should have had. So I didn't look at your starting items. I know you got 2 wards at some point early on. I don't know if you actually started with them or not, but actually you did, because you put down that one really defensive ward early on that didn't make a lot of sense to me. So I don't know. It's just not right. Madman. Okay, so
Nullstone's fine again against that team. Not the best, but it's all right. He doesn't really need a Rune Cleaver to farm. It does boost it, obviously, but Nullstone's perfectly fine. I don't actually have a problem with any of his items, to be honest.
I don't
Basher
either.
I actually do like on Madman. He's one of the only heroes I do like on, simply because he gets an absolute stack of attack speed from his ult, and he needs an ability, he needs a way to lock someone down and kill them, and you don't really want to go Frostburn on him. It's not the most efficient attack modifier. I'd rather get Lifesteal or maybe a Shield Breaker if you're that way inclined.
The only criticism I would have is I love all the items except for the Nullstone. I probably would not have gotten. He already mentioned it, because it just doesn't make a lot of sense this game. I probably would have gone Rune Cleaver just because farming never hurts, and even though you don't need it, it's still not a bad item to have on it. And then the only other criticism I would have is on the Brutalizer. I don't think it's a wrong item by any means. I would have gone Savage Mace instead after the Nullstone Shrunken Whispering Helm. I would have gone Savage instead, because your team has a fair amount of stuns, so you can maybe depend on them a bit for that. I think the Savage would have been a much better investment. Granted, you'd still need some more gold, because Brutalizer is only about 2/3 of the way to the Savage, but it's that's still 3,100 that you invested, that I think you probably would have been better off going straight for the Savage. And again, it comes back to his ultimate giving him so much attack damage that Savage is a phenomenal item on him, because you get that proc like every freaking 2 seconds or half a second or whatever crazy shenanigans, however lucky you get, I guess. But yeah, other than that, there's really nothing to say. You did well, and actually you and Lodestone together carried this team. You guys did quite well. Lodestone. So
Lodestone, you need a damn portal key, and you don't need a Brutalizer, and you don't need a helm and a heart.
Yeah. So starting out, the boots are fine. That's a fine choice, I guess. It doesn't matter to me really. I like Ghost Marchers on him, but I have seen Steam boots, and it's been somewhat successful too, so it's okay. Putting that aside, you also did not get vestments, so go fuck yourself. But then we went Helm. Okay, cool. Then we went. Then we have, and I don't remember the order, so excuse me if I'm mistaken. But I'm gonna guess we went Barbed Armor after that, and then Behemoth's Heart, and then Brutalizer. Brutalizer makes no sense to get on a hero that doesn't have attack speed to use it. It's like getting a Savage Mace on a hero that has freaking 2-second attack cooldown. It just doesn't make any sense. No matter how, it just doesn't make any sense. Okay, there's no logic.
I saw Nox get Brutalizer on Pebbles in a competitive game when he was trolling.
Yeah, see, it's just like it.
They were almost through because of that, actually.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense because you don't have the attack speed necessary to proc it enough to make it worth it. Okay, that's the logic behind that. So that item has absolutely no logic getting on Lodestone. So I'm gonna just say that's wrong. There's no reason to get that. The other items aren't wrong. The armor, the ringed, barbed armor is totally fine. That's fine, actually.
Barbed armor is actually. I'll just go over my sort of thing about Lodestone. I actually disagree with you. This is going to sound weird about not getting vestments, and the reason for that is because of the fact that when you use your ultimate, which is the whole point of the hero, essentially.
Yeah, you play on dying.
this is why you need a portal key. You want a portal key into the middle of them just as your ult's about to go off, and when you do that, it applies that debuff, which basically makes true damage. It gives true damage from all sources to yourself and all of the enemy heroes caught in your ult. Therefore, any damage mitigation that you have in the form of armor or magic armor is pointless.
Okay.
So getting a barbed, so if they do focus you, they're going to get a hell of a lot of return damage, is good. And then getting just raw HP in the form of, a behemoth's heart or just, a lot of plus strength items is good. So getting damage mitigation isn't the biggest deal on Lodestone, unless you just want to, obviously, after your ult's one off, just go in and tank up and just be a big beefy tank, in which case, Frostfield.
Okay. All right, so I take it back then. Yeah, you know what? I don't play Lodestone. I played him twice now. That makes a whole lot of sense, actually. That's totally fine. The Barbed I love. The Mystic Vestments not having is totally okay. Don't worry about it. However, the Brutalizer's still not. You're still not cleared of that charge, my friend.
Yeah.
And on top of that, we already talked about it. The Heart and Helm thing. There's no reason to have them both. And actually, at a 50 minutes, the Helm does practically nothing. It gives you how much health? 306 regen, and the damage mitigation is basically 0 at this point. Yeah. The number doesn't actually decrease, but percentage-wise of how much damage they're actually dealing, it's basically 0. So
yeah,
don't worry about that. So break it up. I'd say anytime you're past. Well, you know what? Whenever you're going for a heart and you already have a helm, I guess is okay to go ahead and sack the helm. The only thing I might say is there's some. Obviously, you would sack the helm after you've bought the Axe of Malphite and the others, you know what I mean? You want to keep the helm completed and then sell it when you have the money to, get the rest of the pieces of the heart. You don't want to be, just breaking up your helm and selling the other 2 pieces when all you have is a heart now and, 1,000 gold or whatever. So that doesn't make sense. But, when you have enough, feel free.
Yep. And finally,
there's the main attraction. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump in. So first of all, the Marks of the Novice, I assume you've had all games, so that's fine. I'm not going to comment on those. Boots. Ghost Marchers, totally okay. Most people get those on him anyways. It's odd you would see Steam Boots on Bombardier, but not necessarily wrong, I guess.
I played Bomb for the first time the other day and went 7-1.
That is quite interesting. I actually like Bombardier. He's really awesome. But that's me personally. Okay, moving on.
No stats items apart from obviously the staff, which gives us a shitload of stats, but you didn't get that.
And the Grimoire gives some stats too.
Oh yeah, the Grimoire gives +10 because of the thing.
And 26 int. But so yeah, and I guess technically the spell shards give intelligence too. But okay, so let's go ahead and break this down. So first of all, like you said, we have minimal stat items. We don't have none. We have some, but minimal stat items, which don't make a lot of sense. Then to go ahead and top that all off, we didn't get any crowd control items. None. None of these 3 items that he built does any crowd control to the enemy heroes, unless you count the 15% damage. For the Grimoire, I guess technically that is kind of a buff, so it's not really like crowd control, but it does help. So I guess so. So moving on, we've talked about the spell shards in the past, so I don't want to stay on those too long. Just that all I'm going to say is that money-wise, it is not an efficient item for what you get.
Always something better that you can get.
Yeah, for $3,000.
All forms of crowd control are always better than spell shards.
Yes, and I don't know how many levels he put into that, but I'm going to assume he maxed it just for argument's sake. That's way too many. That's 43.75. For this item. It gives you 12 intelligence, 17 damage, 10 attack speed, 150% mana regen, and then 6 magic armor penetration. That's not worth it. Not even close to worth it for the 43.75 you invested. That is a lot of gold. You can almost get a sheepstick for that. It's about $1,000 short for a sheepstick.
I will say that the fact that you went for raw damage and have so little deaths with no survivability items probably says a lot for you having good positioning, or maybe you just stayed right out of the fights and just ulted and got us kills and assists that way. It's it's okay to go for raw damage, I guess, if you've got good positioning, but it's still better to have crowd control items, man. It's still so much better and so much more useful. Your ult already is good enough without a staff, spell shards, and grimoire. That's just complete overkill.
Yeah, plus, I just want to mention, staff is not a bad item, just that there are a few heroes that it's actually, the benefit from the ultimate is actually worth getting a staff. The ones that come to mind, in my mind anyways, are Ophelia, because the cooldown gets so much shorter, and of course it would be a late item, not necessarily your first item. And then, there's a couple
Empath,
Yeah, maybe Empath too. And there's a few others, but for the majority of them, the ult is, or the staff is an unnecessary cost. Money cost. It costs too much for the benefit that it gives you with the staff. So just something to think about. And the staff, what is it exactly? 4,200. So another $4,000 right there. Just about grand short of a sheep stick, or Hellflowers. I think about 47 or something like that.
Yeah, 47.25.
Yeah. So I mean, either Hellflower would have been great, and
Sheepstick, Tablet, Storm Spirit.
Yeah, I mean,
with the money that you spent on the Grimoire, Spell Shards, and Staff, you probably could have had all three of those items.
Yeah, basically, crowd control items are better than damage items. Not in every case.
Better than magic damage boost items, like those three items.
Not in every case, but in the vast majority of them.
Yeah, Staff is an exception on some heroes. For example, on Pharaoh. It's so much fun to have a Staff on Pharaoh. It's so good. And
I love Staff on Ophelia as like your 5th item because it sends the cooldown from 120 seconds to 30 seconds. It's crazy, and it's like a 400 heal or something like that every 30 seconds. That's ridiculous.
And if you have an Astrolabe, that means that essentially if you stagger them every 15 seconds, you have a ridiculous heal.
Yeah, it's crazy. Plus, not to mention that it's a global heal, which is retardedly OP as well. But well, not necessarily OP, but just awesome is all I'm trying to say. Okay, so we talked about that. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it was useful, helpful to all of you, not just Rolighed2, but, to Rolighed2 as well. So if you have any questions or comments, feel free to let me know. I read them all. If you have a question or comment regarding Taddy, I'll pass it along to him, so feel free. Other than that, feel free to keep submitting replays again. We're still doing these. I know we've been kind of doing like one a week for the past couple weeks. That's my own fault. School's about to finish, though, so we'll get into those a bit more after that, so don't worry, I'm done in 2 weeks, and then...
God, man, you're so lazy with these replays.
I know. They take a long time, though. We spent, 2 hours on this one or something.
Oh, yeah, this one was long.
So it's tough, but feel free to keep submitting them. We are still doing them, and once again, any questions, comments, anything like that, let me know. So thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you guys around. GG, well played, guys. Elfis out.